So I've now reached the final 2 weeks of my cut. Now it's been a year since I've taken on this bodybuilding plan and it's been great. But what I've learned is that it takes a lot of work, both in the gym and in the kitchen. Thing is, when you're in the gym, you got to push really hard. You got to really be trying to push every last rep out, maximizing all of your repetitions to really get the maximum growth. So you got to focus, you got to keep trying to push more weight, and you got to spend hours in the gym to try and grow your body, which is pretty intense. The second thing is you got to eat a lot. You got to really be strict with your nutrition. You can't just eat everything you want. At the beginning, you can, but then you got to also monitor your body. Luckily, I had a coach to tell me what was up, so I could see if I was getting too much fat around my gut. If that was happening, then we'd have to focus more on protein, less on carbs, and less on fats and things like that. So you got to try and figure that out. But now that I'm getting to the final stages of the cut, it's getting really, really difficult to shed the last few bits of fat, and this is what I'm trying to get at. Bulking is relatively easy because you're just intaking loads of calories, and the more protein and the more carbs you take in, the more you're going to grow. When it comes to cutting, it's also relatively easy because all you do is decrease your calories. You don't eat as many calories as you did before. So you gradually bring the calorie intake down. Now, I was injured a couple of times throughout my bulking. So at the very beginning, I think I was 1.5 months, 2 months into the program. I did some Romanian deadlifts and I overloaded the bar and I tweaked my back. Now, unfortunately, this injury has been with me throughout the whole year of bulking. It wasn't anything major. I went to see the doctor. They said I just had to do some stretches. They didn't want to do an MRI. They didn't think that was necessary. So I've been kind of stuck with this awkward lower back injury. It's getting better now. It's almost gone, but it's a bit strange that it's stuck with me all this time. They can't really figure out what it is. So that's besides the point. The thing is, even with that injury, I still managed to train and gain mass. Now, the second injury I got was close to my cutting phase, which is a little bit annoying because I was doing weighted dips. I had a 15 kilogram weight attached to my waist and I was going low. I was really maximizing the last few reps, trying to go as deep as possible to really stretch that muscle out. And the following day, I felt something in my elbow and I thought, right, I learned from my previous injury with my back to rest. Rest is the most important thing. I think that was the main problem with my back injury. I didn't rest enough. I was going on about resting, and it's hard to take your own advice sometimes. It's do as I say, not what I do. I think that's one of those sayings. But yeah, but definitely the older you get, I'm not even 30 yet, but I've noticed that from 20 to pushing close to 30 this year, I realized that my body is way slower to recover. So I got to take the time out. Before I could just wait a week, maybe even a few days and I'd be fine. Now I really got to wait a minimum of a month, I reckon. That's what you need to do to rest your body, to give it time to recover. And that's what I did with my elbow. But the thing is, when you're cutting, you still got to be pushing hard in the gym to maintain that muscle mass. And for the month that I was cutting, I was reducing my calories quite a lot. I was doing a lot of intermittent fasting and I was walking a lot. I was still doing pull-ups and a few press-ups here and there to maintain, but I wasn't pushing as hard as I could in the gym. Now I'm back in the gym and these are the last 2 weeks of the cut, so we're going to see what I can shed here. I can see the beginnings of a six-pack. It's not quite popping out like I would like it to, so that's why now I've decided to do this quick update, because I'm going to start tracking my calories like I used to do back in the day. Before I even started the bodybuilding program, tracking your macros is a good way to shed the last bits of fat. It's really annoying because you got to weigh all your food out, but this is the thing I want to get at. If you struggle to lose weight, this is what you want to do. You want to track your calories, track your macros. And your macros are your fats, your proteins, and your carbohydrates. And this is what I'm going to be focusing on. It's annoying, but it's a good habit you can build, because if you do it for a month, let's say, I'm going to be doing it for a couple of weeks. But if you happen to do it for a month, what that gives you is the ability to eyeball food later on and know the quantities, the amount of calories that are in it roughly. You're not going to be bang on the money every time, but you're going to look at something and say, okay, that's about 300-400 calories. That's high in fat. That's something that I kind of want to stay away from. Maybe that's something that I want to get involved with. You'll have the ability to really eyeball food and understand how many calories are in that food, and if it's something you want to be getting involved with or not. And this is what tracking my macros is going to give me now. It's going to give me the ability to maybe shed the last bits of fat. I'm going to have to go hard with intermittent fasting, high intensity interval training, and pushing hard in the gym. That's one bit. But then when it comes to nutrition, I'm going to just monitor and track everything, because what gets measured gets managed, and that's exactly what we're going for. So I'm really going to measure everything. In the gym, I'm going to push myself as hard as possible, trying to avoid injury. My elbow's good now, so I did a bit of chest the other day, feeling good about that. But my elbow seems to be fine now. So watch yourself when you're training. This is the thing. Don't get injuries. You want to train smart. If you train smart, you'll be fine. If you go overboard, like I tend to try and always push myself, but I think that's everyone who likes fitness and sport in general. They'll always tend to push themselves. And, you know, for example, this mentality I have is if I feel an injury coming on, it pisses me off. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to push even harder just to prove to this injury who's boss. But that's retarded, because the injury is always going to win. I'm never going to beat an injury. The only way to beat an injury is to recover properly, take the rest, to feed yourself right, get a lot of sleep. That's the best way to do it. And to minimize the movement in that injury, or minimize the pressure that you put on it. So that's basically my update for now. Last 2 weeks, really hard to shed that last bit of fat. So I'm going to start tracking the macros. Really important. If you track your macros, you're going to guarantee success when it comes to shedding fat. There's no other way around it, because you're going to be monitoring all the calories that come into your body. And remember, when you're trying to burn fat, when you're in a calorie deficit, that is when you burn fat. If you're intaking more calories than you burn off, you can't burn fat. So the thing I'm focusing on is minimizing my calories now, focusing on protein, minimizing my carbs, and we're going to see how that goes. It's going to be a bit painful, because we all love carbohydrates. I myself love carbohydrates. But if I want to get the results, which the results are going to be very short-lived, I can guarantee that, because once I get the picture, I'm going to be snapping right back into a healthy diet. Because this is the other thing. Bodybuilding isn't necessarily the healthiest thing. You really got to know your reasons why you're doing it. I just wanted to see a body transformation, and that was it. But you're consistently stuffing your face when you're gaining. And then when you're trying to get lean, you really have to watch what you're eating. So you have to really figure out if that's the lifestyle you want to live. For me, it was a good experiment. It was interesting. I did it. But it's not the lifestyle I want to continue with. It's not really sustainable, I find. Unless if you consistently want to be bulking, then it's great. But apart from that, figure it out. These are just my thoughts. I'm just an average guy who wanted to gain some weight, see what's up. And now I've lived it, I've gained some mass. I'm going to give you the measurements after, so you can see the before and after. You'll see the whole thing. If you check back to the beginning of the vlogs, you'll see the progression. But then I stopped vlogging for a while because it was just very repetitive. I wasn't really showing you anything new. I was just going through the motions, eating the food, doing the exercise, and all the exercises are there, all the foods are there. It's just quantity. The cutting, I haven't really been showing you too much about that, but at the end of the day, cutting is just restriction of calories and intermittent fasting. Still working out. So we'll see what happens in the next few weeks. I'm going to try and track this more, show you the last bit of the cut, which is the hardest part, which is the most interesting part, because that's what everyone wants, the six-pack. So I'm going to try and show you as much as I can, give you updates, and we'll see what's up. So let's wait and see.